Hey guys, Akariss here. Welcome to a brand new AI lessons video. So, because of the previous video, you guys definitely seem to take a lot out of it. I got some really good positive feedback, and the first video was pretty basic in nature, but it is really common. And for those of you who don't know, it's the Rally Traps AI video. I definitely recommend you check it out in the video description below if you haven't already seen it, so you can pick up on some of the stuff here to get better as a player, especially in AR, but all this stuff is definitely applicable to anything outside of AR. Like, you'll see this stuff in Arena, you'll see this stuff even in PvE content like Abyssals, where units have rallies. You won't really find dancers, but sometimes it could set up stuff like fire formations, aerobatics, guidance traps, and all that, which we'll surely cover in different videos. But today's video will cover restore traps, which I personally think are a little bit of a gimmick, meaning they're not very consistent because they're very weak to a couple of things. I'm going to show you guys what they are, how to use them on your own defense team. You'll pick that up just by showing you its weaknesses, and why they may not be reliable if you know how to play against them. So, with that being said, here is our bunch of units. Now, I've just decided to stick with only 4 units, but we'll make this more complicated as things go. We got my Nana, who is the restore user. It's very important that you check healers whether they have restore whenever you go into a match. This is the first and most important thing you do, because if they have restore, then you got to start predicting some AI right from turn 1. And you also got to pick the right team comp going into this too, because if you pick the wrong team comp, you may completely limit your own options. So, restore shown here. We even got the attack speed solo will be buffed by Legendary Azura for some insane amount of stats. This Nana is going to be reaching about 56 attack and I believe 52 speed. So it's very difficult to tank this in Astra Season. Now that's the thing. Astra Season right now doesn't give resistance bonuses, and it doesn't have Air, who uses Mystic Boost to really lower the amount of damage that restore traps do, or healers in general. But Astra doesn't apply to this, so restore traps are more consistent in Astra over Light, because for 2 primary reasons. One, Naga doesn't have the greatest res. She's not very resilient to high DPS healers like this, and Veronica as well. You can use anything really if you're making your own or you're playing into it. Be very wary and do your calculations here. But yeah, basically this is a high DPS healer which will catch you off guard if you don't really predict it properly. So, restore trap, you got your dancers nearby, and the team probably looks pretty innocent. I mean, you got just some buildings and the restore healer. They're not even that much range from first impression for like a team like this. So what I'll do is I'll show you what happens first of all, and then I'll explain why it happened. So this is your starting team, whatever. Don't look at the builds, guys. The builds are not that important. It's mostly just about the healer that I'm going to focus on. I have like a Chronia with no assist here. Don't like copy this. It's just the idea of focusing on AI knowledge right here. So
as you will.
This is it. This is turn 1. You think you're safe. You just, whatever, move your units up or just wait maybe for like a bolt tower turn or whatnot. But little do you know, because you brought a support unit like Brave Micaiah with Yoon's Whispers, and of course if you brought a Versa as well, this is also a problem. If you just end turn, you're going to get caught. Because what Nana does is she's going to restore a Versa, get Dance, and look at her range now. You pretty much caught one of your units have been caught, and you're in a bit of trouble. Now, if you actually look at the range, it is insanely high. Nana, after a dance, almost covers your whole team. I'm going to actually put this to guided for the next preview so it can go a little bit slower. But as you can see here, she pretty much had almost the full map covered. Kind of like my Cav line defense, if you guys have seen that before. But this is a little bit different. However, Restore does have its weaknesses, which I'll cover. But if you didn't predict your AI, you will get caught by this because of your low res units, like Naga for instance in Astra Season. It definitely works better in Astra, and it preys on people that use chills, shrines, or Aversa panics and debuffs and whatnot. That's how Restore functions. And to be honest, it can work if people continue to use Naga with chill speed. Because if you look at this team, Aversa on the front line has 44 speed. So if someone was to bring in just chill speed off of Naga's default kit, you're already guaranteeing that the restore trap will work. But how you play around it is actually fairly simple. You just make sure that the team you bring in doesn't have debuffs. And that sounds easier than you think, but it comes into planning if you struggle against this sort of thing. So just for the purpose of this video, I removed chill speed from my Nagas, and as you can see, there's no debuffs on the enemy team. I haven't brought in a Bright Shrine, a Dark Shrine, or anything like chills, ploys, and whatnot. As long as there's no debuffs, the restore doesn't happen. As you can see, she's not going to do anything. Now be warned, if you do bring a Bull Tower, you may enable it on turn 3 as healing AI will kick in at that point, which I'll maybe cover in a different video, but probably not, because healing isn't as prominent as something like restore is. So as long as you don't bring a debuff, you're okay. Now you're probably thinking, well shoot, I have Naga with chill speed on a team, I'm screwed, or I'm using a Versa. What you can do to beat restore AI, and we'll bring the other team for this, is make sure if units are exposed from max range of Nana, for instance, or whatever restore healer you run into, make sure those units can survive. And then what you'll do is you'll likely expose a dancer or a unit on the front line, which will be easier to snipe and allow you to make your play that way. Because the initial formation makes it difficult to snipe someone like Nana or the dancers. But once you've properly gone through turn 1, and that's the biggest thing with restore traps usually, you can properly get in there to snipe a unit and make your match a lot easier. Turn 1 is what these type of trap prey on, and if you can get through that, you'll be fine. So, what do? Whoever is in range, make sure they're the highest res units you have and likely won't get killed. So, as we saw, this Naga, extremely vulnerable. If you look at Nana's range from here, it is really high, but there are still some safe spots. 1, 2, 3, and you have yourself pretty much this spot where Makaya's in safe, this one is safe, and this one down here will be safe. So you have 3 spaces to be safe from, which means you have 2 units that have to guarantee a survival against Nana, and that's not so difficult since we have Brave Makaya and this 40 res Naga, for instance. So those 2 units combined will definitely get the job done. And then we'll bring our lower res units in the back.
For Dane.
Yes.
So the restore trap is enabled. You'll see that what happened here is actually I still got caught because the restore trap was actually better than I gave it credit for. As you can see, she went to restore Sylvia, got danced again, and picked off the other Naga. And that is why restore trap can be really good. But the concept from the first restore dance by Legendary Zoro was still there, which was, can your unit survive the restores? And yes, it did. Makaya and the Naga that was exposed after the first dance did not die, so what Nana does is she restores the next unit on the priority list and then gets danced again in this case, but has more range. In this case, the other Naga, which was at lower res and still ended up dying.
Time to kill?
Now there's probably a good chance that if you watch this again and I swap the positions of Kronia and Naga, that she won't die, as we'll put into practice here. Okay, so as you can see, all your units survived. Nana did not have any more restore targets because Sylvia was the only one debuffed after the restore onto a Versa. Azura had moved, removing her debuffs after movement, and now Nana's only choice was to attack. But because all my units survived, you now have a good opening to clean up the team because they've been engaged even without your choice, and
Okay.
you pretty much win at this point because everything
I see.
Well, I mean, there's probably some difficulties you might encounter, but the team will be spread out. The dancers will be far in the back after their dances, and whatever other teammates may have moved forward may not cover as well. Because one thing with restore traps is they cannot predict what team you bring in and how you counter it, and that's your biggest advantage. One thing as well is, of course, the less buildings you have on offense, the more space you have. I've brought in max amount of buildings, but the less buildings you have, the easier you'll play into this as you have more space for units to survive. So for example, if my Cronia couldn't survive Nana, I would have lost the unit no matter what. I would need a better team to take a hit from Nana, or I would lose a unit. Okay, now how does restore work? How do you know what gets restored? Why didn't Legendary Azura get restored? Why didn't Sylvia get restored? This all comes into how the defense team is pretty much constructed, and that's why a little bit of unpredictability comes with restores. So as you can see here, a Versa is on the far right slot. This is how a restore trap functions. With all things equal, if everyone's at full health, and that's the biggest thing, and everyone is debuffed, the restore targets the unit right there in the far right slot. So for example, if I was to move Sylvia onto the far right slot, and I played it out again, Sylvia gets restored, and not a Versa. You actually notice that she moved positions, so the same kind of thing will happen. But if the restore trap isn't created properly, then it's going to target something else. So if it was like this, like these positionings, which were the initial positions, and Sylvia was on the far right slot, then what Nana's going to do is she's going to go over here, restore, and then not have as much range. This setup is preying on the forward restore into a dance, which has incredibly good range using a Cav healer, for instance, with good offensive prowess, which is a Nana. So, now I want to show you how truly disgusting these restore traps can get, and what you may encounter if you're not prepared. So, as you can see, 4 units, but what I'll do is I'll make sure Verse is the one that gets restored. I'll add in our great friend, Legendary Alm here, and going through it just for the sake of it. Now you have yourself a full team. We'll move the healer healing tower out of the way. Just set up a team like this. Now it looks more of a scarier looking team. So you may not always think that debuffs are useful to have, and in some cases they're not, if people set up their teams like this. Looks like a pretty innocent team. You got a dancer on the front line you could possibly snipe. You got Legendary Alm there. Let's see. Actually, just to make this even better, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move Sylvia here. Now Gunthra is covering really high range to make snipes difficult. And one reason why I moved Sylvia back here was because the unit, the dancer, or the unit with the assist, it's not always a dancer, it could be a rally, the one that's further away will go for the dance. So Nana, when she does the restore, will cause Sylvia to dance, and Azura still hasn't danced. Now the reason I did that is because I'm running a rally trap. Now if you reviewed the first AI video, you'll know exactly what I mean. Since Nana moves onto the front line and gets danced, she now has threat range to attack into something. So because of the rally trap, Alm is going to move forward, rally, enable another dance from Legendary Azura, dancing Alm, and then you have pretty much no space to survive. There it is. Now look at Nana's range. Alm goes to the rally, dance from Azura, and then almost the whole map is covered, and you pretty much lost your units from turn 1. There's nowhere to hide. You have one space pretty much of freedom here.
Yeah, Yeah.
And yeah, if a restore is executed properly or capitalizes on people bringing in units that use debuffs like Naga with chill speed, this is the sort of stuff you're going to encounter. It's probably a good reason to take off chill speed if you think about it on Naga, since people can definitely play around it. Or bonus structures being stuff like Bright Shrine or Dark Shrine, which will guarantee that your restore traps work and there's nothing the player can do about it. So that's how you can use that sort of mentality to create some really disgusting defense teams during those seasons. However, as I mentioned, the biggest counter to this sort of team is to make sure that one of your teams don't use debuffs. So this team right here doesn't use anything and would allow you to play slowly, meticulously, carefully into this comp, which would otherwise give you a lot of trouble. Now, because I have a Bolt Tower, I technically have a 3-turn timer to make a play, but nonetheless, this is why this team looks pretty disgusting. And you can do a lot of things. You can set up, it doesn't have to be Legendary Olm, it could be Lyn with Fire Sweep Bow, Gunther could even do like a Rally Trap or something. You know, the possibilities are endless, and there's definitely some good team comps you can make out of this. But what's important is that you know how to play into these restored traps and how to beat them, which comes through proper strategic team compositions that don't get yourself caught by this. I have lost to this a few times, and I've had to adjust my team comps as a respect for them existing. When you run into the +10 Veronica with 60 attack and 55 speed, you're going to understand why you need to make sure that some of your team comps can handle this sort of team barreling down upon you. So I hope that pretty much covered everything for you guys. There will be more AI videos to come. I hope you took something out of it. I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to let me know in the comments below ideas. If there's some sort of AI that you don't truly understand or might be giving you some trouble, and if I warrant it, you know, it can make these sort of videos, I'll cover it. But, you know, you guys have definitely given me some good stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Please leave a thumbs up, sub to the channel if you haven't already, and thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one. Peace. I just want to see some nukes. Goodbye, Naga. Bam. Goodbye, Alphonse.